Hello everyone, welcome to Megha Discourse where literature meets excellence, and I'm back with another master video on Age of Johnson. So whenever we talk about the Neoclassical Age, we celebrate Dryden and we admire Pope. But the moment we enter the Age of Johnson, something magical happens. And this magic can be seen like reason meets emotions, satire meets sympathy, and order meets imagination. So, literature here quietly prepares for the birth of Romanticism. So, in this powerful lecture, we will understand the third phase of Neoclassic Age, that is the Age of Johnson, Age of Sensibility, and roughly it spans 1745 to 1798, and Neoclassic Age ends. And this age is also known as the age of transition, the intellectual maturity age, and we have major literary reforms in this age. So let us begin with the complete index of what we will cover today. So here is our index. So now what is the age of Johnson? The age of Johnson refers to the third phase of Neoclassic Age, spanning 1745 to 1798, which dominated intellectuality, morality, and critically by Dr. Samuel Johnson. He is actually the central figure of this age. Then it is a period of transition from classical order to romantic imagination. Then we find a shift from satire and wit to emotion, introspection, and subjectivity. That's why this is known as the precursor of Romantic Age. The next we have is a deep interest in human psychology. We have nature poem and nature works. Then we have individual experience writing. So, in a simple term, it is an age where classical discipline and early romantic tendencies coexist. So, it is also called the age of transition and the pre-romantic age because Dr. Samuel Johnson influenced criticism, biography, and the dictionary and essays. So, it is also known as the age of Johnson. Now, what exactly the historical background is? I have told you many times that when we understand our age, so we need to understand the historical and social background of the age so that we can get idea about the society, about the king, about the writers, the court. So far as the historical background of the age of Johnson is concerned, Britain was expanding globally. Colonial power was rising, and there was growth of middle class reading public. Like in age of Pope, there is a coffee houses club. So reading was common for common masses. Now they had demand for novels, essays, and periodicals for Richard Steele and Edison. We have industrial revolution which started and new social issues and class intentions can be seen. Then we have decline of aristocratic patronage. Like authors become professional writers. We have American Revolution happened in 1776, which created political debate on liberty and human rights. So this shifting world prepared fertile ground for emotional and democratic literature. The next we have social background. So society becomes urban and commercial and materialistic. We have coffee houses, clubs and salons become hubs of debate, political debate or social debate, or you can say it is actually the hub of discussion. Then there was a concern for moral values and charity and benevolence. So we have middle class demanding literature which reflects real life. There is a middle class, sorry, which demands real life literature, which is not just aristocratic taste. We have new themes like poverty, suffering, nature, common man, humanitarian. So the taste of literature changes actually. Uh, so far as the political background is concerned, we have Tory and Whig, and the Whig government dominated politics. If you do not know about the Tory and Wicks concept, then watch the video of Age of Pope and Age of Dryden, so you will get the idea about what exactly happened between the Whig and the Tory. So we have ideas of liberty, democracy, and free thought which is spread widely. We have questions on monarchy, class, and equality. For example, Edward Burke, who wrote on political reform and human rights as well. So these debates entered in literature in form of essays, speeches, periodicals, letters, and poetry. So we can clearly say that in this way literature shapes. Now, literary background. So this is known as the age of transition. So literature also shaped in new forms. So it is the most important section for our exam. In this age, literature moves in four directions. We have decline of pure neoclassicism like wit, satire, we have slowly declined and rise of subjectivity. Now poets begin to talk about their inner feelings, which will dominate in romantic age. We have growth of nature poetry, like nature is now not decorative, it becomes an emotion. We have sentimental and humanitarian themes like poverty, suffering, loneliness, charity. This becomes the central theme of our work. So thus the age leads directly into Romanticism. Now what are the major literary genres of this age? We have poetry, prose, we can say essays, criticism, novel and drama. So these five things are dominating in this age and each of them undergoes a huge transformation. So let's talk about the poetry. So first we have Graveyard School of Poetry. Now what exactly the Graveyard School? So in Graveyard School of Poetry we have themes like death and melancholy, night, solitude and meditation. And the tone is very reflective, emotional and moralizing. And the first step toward romantic emotion and imagination is the Graveyard School of Poetry. So we have important poets like Thomas Gray, who wrote elegy written in country churchyard where he frequently met questions, and it has themes like death and which equalizes all and simple rural life is noble. And we have important like the path of glory leads but to the grave. So this poem marks the emotional turn towards romanticism. Next, we have Edward Young who wrote Night Thoughts. This has themes like spiritual reflection, darkness, death, and immortality. Next, we have Robert Blair who wrote The Grave, and all these poets focus on emotional introspection, romantic state. The next, we have the pre-romantic poetry. And this poetry start using simplicity of language, have human emotions, and nature as living spirit. So, important writer is William Cooper, who wrote The Task, which have theme like simplicity of rural life. And he was known for the humanitarianism and everyday life work. So he is important key writers of pre-romantic poetry. The another we have the nature and sentimental poetry. We have James Thompson who wrote The Seasons. Important one, first long natural description in blank verse. Then Thomas Percy who wrote Relics of Ancient English Poetry. And he was important for the collection of folk songs which inspired Wordsworth. Then we have Dr. Johnson as a poet who wrote The Vanity of Human Wishes, which have theme of human ambitions and their futility. And he uses satire, but with moral depth. And very important, The Vanity of Human Wishes. If you have time, then read. So when we have prose writing of this age, which is extremely important, like Dr. Samuel Johnson, who dominates this age in criticism, essay, dictionary, and biography. And his major works like a Dictionary of English Language written in 1755, the first authoritative English dictionary. We have themes which define words with clarity and examples. The second is the Rambler and the Idler. We have Lives of Poet, in which he wrote biographies and criticism on poets. Then we have Rasselas and so many works he wrote. The next writer we have Edmund Burke, who was the greatest political prose writer, and he wrote Reflections on the Revolution in France, which was against violence of revolution. Then he wrote Speech on American Taxation, which is on liberty and justice. Third, we have Edward Gibbon, and his masterpieces were The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, which is considered the greatest neoclassical work on, you can say, historical work, which have theme of corruption, religion, culture, and decline of nations. Then we have Oliver Goldsmith, who wrote The Citizen of World, and the satirical essay The Deserted Village, and the village is Auburn, very important. He has theme of rural decline due to greed, and he has a line that ill fares the land, very important. We have rise of novel. This age completes the rise of English novel. And why the novel rose? The important question and the big question. Was the growth of reading public. We have middle class interest, we have decline of poetry, and printing made it very easy and cheap, and we have stories which is based on real life. So these are the factors that novel rose. So we have four pioneers of the English novel, which is very important. Two we have done in our age of four, but yes, we will cover it in this age as well. So the four wheels of novels are Samuel Richardson, Henry Fielding, Tobias Smollett, and Lawrence Stern. So we will cover only the important work. Samuel Richardson, he was known as the father of psychological novel, who wrote the Pamela, Virtue Rewarded, first domestic realistic novel. Then we have Clarissa, who was considered the greatest psychological novel of this age. We have Henry Fielding, who was known as the father of English novel in structure. He wrote Tom Jones, Joseph Andrew, Shamela. So these are some important works written by Henry Fielding. The next we have Tobias Smollett, who was known for his adventure writing, and he wrote Roderick Ransom and Peregrine Pickle. These were actually picaresque novels which is on travel and adventure. Then we have Lawrence Stern, who was known as the father of sentimental novel. He wrote Tristram Shandy, published in 9 volumes actually. It is an experimental novel and emotional narrative. And he wrote a sentimental journey which is compassionate and full of human feelings. So these are some important works written by our four major novelists. Then we have drama of the age, which is very important. Drama is important in life as well as in age. So we have two great dramatists. The first one is Oliver Goldsmith, who wrote Three Troops to Conquer. Very important anti-sentimental tragedy. We have character Tommy Lumpkin, very important one. And it opposes moralizing sentimental drama. The next we have the Richard Sheridan, who wrote The School for Scandal, which is fine example of comedy of manner. Things like gossip and hypocrisy uh, and the character like Lady Teasel, Joseph Surface, which is very important, and the twisting plot we have in this work. I must say you should do this work because it is also important for our NET exam or any other state exam. So the age of Johnson stands at a beautiful crossroad, the last breath of classicism and the first heartbeat of romanticism. So what we cover in this age actually, it is an age of emotional poetry, graveyard meditation, powerful criticism. We have birth of modern novel, deep moral essays. We have revival in real comedy, and we have growth of human sympathy. And above all, it is Dr. Samuel Johnson, who stands like a lighthouse and guiding the entire age. This was your detailed lecture on the age of Johnson. And also we have uploaded videos on Indian literature and linguistic top 50 important terms, and we have English in India, culture studies, and many more. So check our playlist and check our playlist. And if you found it helpful, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Megha Discourse.